In this lesson, I will show you how to interact with the sudoers file, grant sudo privileges to certain users, and allow them to execute privileged commands with or without a password. Sudo is a program that allows users to run programs on behalf of another user, typically the super user or root, and it can be configured by the sudoers file that specifies how sudo access is granted for a given user. In order to view or modify the sudoers file, you must have super user or root privileges. I'm using the Greg account so that it is not privileged at the moment. In order to elevate my privileges, I'm going to log in as root. Now I am root. The sudoers file is located at etc/sudoers. The sudoers file should not be edited with a normal file editor, so we're going to use vi sudo. I'm going to scroll down here to where we actually modify parts of the sudoers file to grant certain access. This line right here where it says root all equals all in parentheses and then it has a tab and it says all again means certain things. This line means that any user with the username of root has access to execute all commands if the root password is entered. Obviously, the root user should have these privileges already. Each line should have the following elements. First, the user the line applies to here is called root. Next, the host which the line can be applied to, in this case, all. This is useful if you're copying the file from system to system. Next, the equals all specifies the users which the person running the sudo command must be. In this case, all users. And finally, the commands which the specified user can run, in this case, all commands. Let's add a user here. So I'm going to press I for insert because I'm in VI. I'm going to type in Greg_test. I'm going to hit the tab button, not the space button. Tabs must be used here instead of spaces in order for the file to work correctly. Okay, so I'm going to execute the same commands. All equals all in parentheses. Tab all. Okay, so let's right quit. Now that I've saved the file, let's try to access vi sudo from what I just created. Sudo or vi sudo is a privileged process, so we need to execute it as root, as sudo. So su Greg_test. Now notice that my username is Greg_test. So sudo vi sudo. Enter my password again for Greg test. Hit enter, and now I have access to the sudoers file. Let's say that we don't want to have all users use full super user privileges all the time. So now let's modify Greg test 2 in order to run fdisk without a password. Go down to the line that we created just a little bit ago. Type in Greg test 2 all equals no passwd tab, remember the all, this third string here is for commands. We'll type in sbin fdisk. Now let's switch users. And see if we can't run that command. Whoops. So notice how I didn't have to enter a password. Typically when you run sudo, we have to enter that password. Now let's look at what sudo also provides. Sudo also provides information on what we just entered. So let's look at sudo, well, let's exit out of here. And we'll exit out of Greg test. And let's look at sudo tail -3 var log secure. Notice how all my commands are logged. Sudo provides information on everything that the user types in, as long as they are using sudo. If we don't want them to sudo, then we have to not allow them to do that. However, if they're in the sudoers file, we can lock those commands down as well. In conclusion, sudo provides a way to provide access to users on behalf of the root user. This is important to do because sometimes we need to elevate privileges. What this allows us to do as well is make sure security is still intact. So what if we accidentally type something in? Well, sudo prevents us from accidentally typing in a command that we may not have meant to type in. So anytime we type in sudo space and then the privileged command, we're going to be prompted for that password, and think about it twice. So in an enterprise environment, it's best to enable sudoers for your Linux systems. So they have the ability to do administrative things, however, lock down the system to understand what they're doing, to know what they're doing. Logging information is important as well.